Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how I made this pendant. So if you would like to see my start to finish process, just stay tuned. Alright, I have 3 pieces of 20 gauge square dead soft copper wire, and these are cut at about 16 inches each. Then I have some 22 gauge half round wire, and I just have a few strips of that. We won't need a whole lot. I'll be using a teardrop shaped cabochon. I have a 6mm faceted gemstone along with a 4mm faceted gemstone. And we'll also be using some 28 gauge dead soft copper wire, and we're just going to be using it off the spool. I don't have a set amount to measure out. I'll just use it directly off the spool. Alright, I'm going to bring my base wires all together and make sure that they're even, and then I'm just going to check and see where 8 inches is. I'm going to give that just a little mark for myself. I'm going to take my half round wire with my flat side down, and I'm going to wrap it around these 3 wires 12 times. And I'm going to just wipe off my little marker ink. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and wrap our frame around our stone. I'm going to do this with the point of my teardrop facing down. Alright, so we want to squeeze this just a little bit. When we shape this, we want to leave enough space down at the bottom that we'll be able to put our 4mm stone towards the end. So just keep that in mind when you're shaping this around your stone. I'm going to get started with a little mandrel. Just kind of using my mandrel to just help myself keep this straight and uniform. And then when you finish off your top here, you also want to keep in mind that you need to be able to fit your 6mm faceted gemstone up top. I'm going to take some more of my 22 gauge half round, and I'm just going to wrap about 4 or 5 times just to bring this together for myself. I'm going to start this wire with the flat side down over one of the sides of my frame. And when I wrap this together, I want to keep all 3 of these wires parallel with each other. I don't want them bunching up against each other. I want to keep these all nice and flat against each other. Now I want to go ahead and split these 2 sets of 3 wires away from each other. Okay, and see how they're nice and straight and flush against each other. And I'm just going to finish this half round wire off on the edge up here, and I'm going to finish this little tail off down here and tuck them in, and then I'm going to put my stone into my frame. Alright, to get this going around my stone, I'm going to start by separating these first a little bit. I'm going to flip it over to the back. I'm going to bring these 2 back wires in towards each other. And I'm going to make sure that I'm holding this top part and keeping it from coming along with this one as I bring it forward. And now we're going to do something similar on this other side, but I just want to bring it up around the bottom edges here. Alright, now we're going to start weaving our bail. I want to separate my back 2 wires from the front 4, because we're going to do something different with these ones later. And then we're going to use these 4 wires to weave our bail. Alright, so now we're going to start weaving our bail, and I'm going to be using my 28 gauge wire just off the spool. I don't have a specific measurement for you to cut. I like to work off the spool when I'm weaving my bails just because I'm never quite sure how much I'm going to need. So I'm going to start weaving my 28 gauge wire around my 2 wires on the left here. And I'm just going to give that a few wraps so that it's even with this half round wire that I've got finished over on the opposite side. Like that. And now I'm going to go ahead and start weaving each of these wires individually, and I'm just going to do a 2-2, 2-2, 2-2, 2-2 weave. So I'm going to coil my 28 gauge wire around twice on each of these base wires, and I'm just going to do that back and forth and back and forth and back and forth as I weave up the bale. Alright, so I think this is about as high as I want my bale to go, so I need to start shaping it and bring it in towards itself so that I can finish the weave and bring it all together and close it at the top. So I'm just going to try and keep this symmetrical. And now I can finish weaving my bale. So as you start to weave up to the parts where your wires are starting to converge back together, you'll notice that your weaving wire is going to want to slide up towards the top of your bale as you're weaving. So you just want to kind of try and hold it tight onto the last weave that you made as you're coiling your weaving wire around your base wires and tightening them down. And you'll just want to do that the rest of the way up the bale. So I'm going to be holding this down with my thumbnail as I wrap this wire around the other base wire here to make sure that it stays tight against that last weave as I coil it around on the other side. And then once it's coiled, that will keep the length that I need. That'll keep it in place and keep it from slipping up towards the top. Alright guys, my new camera that I just got that I was filming this with ran out of memory. So I had to switch over to my phone, so I apologize if the sound is different now or if the camera quality is any different. I'm actually using a different microphone now as well, so I'm just going to have to keep going with my phone and figure out the camera later. So I'm just going to keep weaving this and finish up my bale here.
I guess I'll just wait till you get home.
Okay, so I have my bale as long as I want it, but I do want my tail of my weaving wire to actually end up on the right side of my bale, because if you'll see, I want my weave that's going to come down around the front of my cabochon to be on the right hand side. So I'm just going to finish one more row of my 2-2-2 weave here, and then we will bend our bale and start making our weave down the front. Alright, and so now I'm going to go ahead and bend my bale, and I'm going to be bending it forward rather than backward. And I have this little dowel that I'm going to use to shape it. Just going to spread these out a little bit. And now I'm going to start my weave down the side here of these two base wires. And I think what I'm going to do is just continue my 2-2 weave. And my stone is feeling a little loose, so after doing all that work on it, so I'm just going to come in and tweak some of these wires. Alright, so I want to actually start weaving this piece onto the frame a little bit as I go. So I am going to go ahead and cut a long length of weaving wire off of my spool. Alright,
So to weave this to the frame, I'm going to find the end of my weaving wire, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull this up a little bit with my fingernail just to make sure I've got a little bit of space underneath it. And I'm going to bring this wire underneath. Just like that. I'm going to pull it tight. And then I'm going to bring it underneath this top one, just like that. And then I'm going to give that one coil push that up. All right, and then we'll coil that. I think we can coil that one more time and it shouldn't throw our symmetry off. Actually, that might throw our symmetry off. So I'm gonna just go back to my 2-2 weave, starting on this other side. And then at this point, I'm gonna go ahead and start shaping my wire around the edge here. I want my wires to start fanning out a little bit so that this weave starts to get wider. Kind of move these out of the way. And now I'm just gonna weave down almost to the end, but not quite. If you'll see on this other one, the weave doesn't quite go all the way down to the point of the cabochon. We do want to leave space down here to put our 4mm faceted stone. So I'm just going to continue this weave. Alright, so that's about where I want it. So I'm going to continue coiling down this far right wire here, and then I'm going to bring it around and wrap it around the back, and then we'll be attaching our smaller faceted stone. Once I have this shaped around the front here like I want it, I'm going to hold it from the front, tight against the cage, and I'm going to bend this onto the cage like that so that I can then snip this. And then I'm going to bend this inside. All right, so now we want to get our smaller faceted gemstone secured in here. And so what I'm going to start out by doing is making a small little loop here for the pointed end of my faceted gemstone to sit in. Okay, I want to press it in a little bit. You want to set it on there like that. See if I can show you guys a little more close up. So I'm going to hold it in the loop with my thumb and forefinger like this, and I'm going to wrap the wire around it. That. I'm going to bring it slightly over the front like that, and that's really going to trap the stone in there for us. I'm bringing it around like this so I can then make one final loop there. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and snip this off. Okay, so now we have our gemstone trapped in there nicely, and we just want to secure this by tying this loop to the bottom of our frame, and we're actually going to fill in some of these little gaps here in the half round wire, and we're just going to use some of our 28 gauge weaving wire. I'm going to coil this around this loop twice, and then I'm going to tie it to the frame on both sides. All right, there we go. Nice and secure. Now I'm going to go ahead and weave just a little bit of wire onto this part of these base wires so that I can bring these down and shape them around the cabochon as well. And I'm going to do the same 2-2 weave that I did on this side on this little section over here. All right, I'm going to continue coiling down this furthest wire, just a few more coils, and make a little loop to attach to the frame. And I'm going to leave the rest of this wire bare to wrap around and give us a little more stability on the back. Go ahead and weave this all the way to the back wire here, and that's just going to give us a little extra security as far as keeping our stone inside of our cage. Now I want to bring this wire and just have it as kind of an accent on the side of this wire. So I'm just going to follow that same flow and bring it in and tie it into the same area of the frame as that first one. And I'm just going to make sure I'm holding the back nice and tight as I bend this around. Then I'm just going to come up here and kind of tighten this a little bit. I'm going to tweak this a little.
Farewell, sweet cookie cats.
All right, so now I'm going to do what I want to do with these two. Okay. All right, so now we're going to take these two stragglers back here and we're going to twist them together. And then bring it up over our bail.
Hush now.
All right, I'm going to Bring these back just a little bit. All right, and now we're going to add our larger faceted gemstone. Gonna sit in there. And I'm just going to start shaping my wire around. I'm going to bring this one around one more time, and then I'm going to wrap it around the bail. I'm going to leave this one out to do some decorative stuff with. Alright, and now I want to take this and just do a couple loops, and then I'm going to tie that to my twisted wire that I've got over the top of the bail. I was going to go ahead and connect this one and try and work it in there, but I think this is actually pretty sturdy. So I'm going to go ahead and just snip this off and tuck it in. All right, and there is our finished piece. And everything's nice and secure. If these wires are, if you're finding that they're a little loose, you can take some of your 28 gauge wire. I'll show you, I did it on this one. You can take some of your 28 gauge wire and secure those together if you need to. But these ones are pretty solid. That gemstone's not going anywhere. So with this pattern, you can, if you don't have faceted gemstones, you can use small cabachons, and you can also use beads. So if you have a 6mm bead and a 4mm bead, what you would want to do for those is when you make your little loops, you're going to want to tie your beads in with weaving wire rather than putting your bead onto the base wire and trying to wrap around it. It'll just look too bulky and weird as you try to bend that base wire around the bead. So yeah, it would be a little bit different if you did beads, but pretty simple to swap out beads for faceted gemstones if you don't have any. But I'm going to go ahead and oxidize this, and I'll show you the finished product. So thank you so much for joining me for this project today. I really hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you'd like to help me make more of these tutorials, please hit the like button and consider sharing on your social medias, because that's really what helps my channel grow. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you get notified every time I upload a new tutorial. And I just want to end by saying have a fantastic day, and remember to love your neighbor as yourself, and in all things treat others as you want to be treated, for this is the law and the prophets. God bless you guys, and I hope to see you in the next video.